I'd like to invite the children up for a message. And as I sit down, I visualize you guys coming up and sitting in front of me and coming up and snuggling up next to me. And so, like I always ask you, so how are you doing? How was this week? Did you do fun things when you were outside? Could you be outside and do fun things together? I hope you had a good week. Ours was challenging, just maybe like yours is too, but I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're with us. So today our story is about Mary and Martha, two sisters, and their brother Lazarus, and their friend Jesus. And Lazarus dies, and the sisters call for Jesus, and Jesus comes a couple of days later. But by the time Jesus gets there, Lazarus has already died. But you know, Jesus does miracles, and Jesus does great things. And so he told them to unroll the stone, and then he said, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus came. But in that culture, in those days, when somebody died, they got all wrapped up in cloth, and so they were bound, kind of like, if you visualize, like a mummy. And so Lazarus came out, but he was still bound. And if you think about it, remember last week when we were talking about the blind, and Pastor John had blindfolded me? And when we came back from the walk that Rebecca took me on, do you remember what Pastor John said to Rebecca? He said, unbind her, take the blindfold off. And remember, she did.
Can you take her blindfold off for her? Just take it right off, Rebecca.
Okay, we made it. And so then I could see again after the blindfold came off. And so in some ways it's kind of like that today with Lazarus. And Jesus says to unbind him, and that gives him life. Jesus gives him life. Can you think of a time nowadays for you when you feel bound up? You don't have to physically be all tied up and in cloth and whatever, but there's things around us that kind of make us feel like we're bound, where we can't do anything. And can you think of some examples of that? Maybe now, like when you're stuck in the house and you're not supposed to go out, or you can't be with your friends, so you're kind of tied up and you're restricted. Or if we're scared, or if there's a storm, there's all kinds of things that make us bound and caught up, and almost not like we're dead, but that gives us that we don't feel like we're full of life and energy. But who comes along and tells us to be unbound, and who unbinds us? Jesus is with us, and he unbinds us, and he gives us life. And even in the midst of all the sadness and the scary things that are happening these days, we know that Jesus is there with us, and he unbinds us, and he frees us and gives us life in him. So I need you to remember that Jesus is always with you, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on. Remember that Jesus is with you, and he'll always be with you. So remember that this week when you're doing things that you feel scared, or when you're doing school and learning new things and trying new things this week, because it's going to be a challenging week, and we may feel kind of all bound up and scared. But remember, Jesus is there, and Jesus unbinds us and surrounds you with his love. So those things that bind us, make it feel like it's Jesus' arms holding you, and you're not dead, but you're alive in Jesus, because Jesus is hanging on to you. So have a good week, and remember to feel loved and held by Jesus. See you next week.